Mr. Beagle says, so hard today to fight the good fight when they come in low with their malice, but you stand up with grace. Really difficult, but imagine in our lifetime if we can finally see the return of honor. Yeah. One thing that I like to remind myself, because look, we're all soft. I'm soft. I've never been to war. Some of you may have been to war, but no one's been drafted in our generation. We haven't, and no one's been to war in the sense of like really having to defend our country. We're fighting wars abroad, and that can be dangerous and horrible. But like people aren't being drafted with the concern that we're going to be destroyed, like someone's going to invade us, right? We haven't had to fight for our families in a very tangible way, right? I know people will argue such and such war was necessary because of terrorism and blah, 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 which I may disagree with. But even if you agree with that, the connection to the safety of our families is tangential and not direct. We haven't had to en masse stand up and give our lives to defend liberty, most of us. Again, some people have been in war, but certainly not the scale of our grandparents. Both my grandfathers were in World War II. They both survived. One was on a aircraft carrier in Pearl Harbor that was attacked. He watched all of his friends burn, and hung on to a. I don't know if it's an apocryphal story, but it was in the family, and he never wanted to talk about it, so it seems realistic. But he crawled out the little hole where the anchor chain thing goes and hung on to that, and a passing ship picked him up. So that's some trauma. That's some trauma. And then my other grandfather was in Europe fighting, and fought the Nazis and had some stuff that he took off of dead soldiers, I guess, that he had killed. That's some traumatic crap. That takes real courage. I'm not patting my family on the back. Like, I had nothing to do with it, and they were just two of thousands and thousands of men who did that, many of whom didn't come home. So it takes some real courage to do that, and we're not being asked to do any of that today. Men today, we're not being asked to do. No one's saying, here's your M1A, go fight trench warfare. You're not being asked to do that. You're being asked to argue on Twitter, maybe lose your job if you really, really stand up and fight. You're being asked to deal with social pressure and some ostracism, and it's a much easier battle in many ways to fight. The flip side is, I think most of us are not intellectually armed with the ammunition required to fight, because we haven't been taught it. We don't. We've been indoctrinated. We're taught not to think about it. We're distracted. We're not. We've been manipulated into not fighting the battle or noticing that the battle needs to be fought. So it's not that hard to fight in many ways, but on the other hand, we're unarmed, many of us. So part of the goal of this show is to arm us.